Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. This is another one of the books I'm looking at in the Sweeten-Maxwell series. It's known basically as Payment Obligations if you look for it on the internet. It's this book here. It's Goode on Payment Obligations in Commercial and Financial Transactions. Brand new edition, just come out in the late spring 2009. It's been edited this time in the second edition by Charles Proctor, but obviously the main writer of this work is Professor Roy Goode, who will be known to many of you. He says it's now some 26 years since the appearance of my little book on payment obligations. He makes a nice comment about it, and then he's delighted to introduce the second edition a little earlier this year. It's not a big book. It's about nearly just under 200 pages long. It follows the standard Sweeten-Maxwell thing, paragraphs on the sides here, quite useful information. Obviously at the beginning of each part there's plenty of information to deal with the specific areas, and at the back you've got an index, and of course what you have at the front will be the cases and everything else. And as I say, it's a relatively small book, but it's a very important one. Now, the review has appeared in a number of areas so far, and the title I've given this particular review is Paying the Bill and Describing the Money. Because at the moment, and I'm writing now almost as we get towards the middle of 2009, we're talking about finance because it's the top of the political agenda globally. So what is money? That's the first question that we need to consider. Now, as I say, there's a question that initially, when you say, what is money, you may feel there's no need to ask that sort of question in the first place. And by the way, all you may be concerned with at the moment is how to get more of it. It's the question, however, that looms large as the first sentence in Professor Goode's estimable 2,200 page book, prepared in the new second edition by Charles Proctor, as I've indicated. Now, of course, lawyers and economists will see the subject slightly differently. Even with a legal definition of money, with which the book is primarily concerned, there's going to be a different sort of shade of meaning within different contexts. A will, for example, or a financial obligation under a contract. So money is like an elephant, say the authors. Easy to identify, but rather more difficult to define. That's probably a very good statement over the ages, both for the elephant and for money. If you're a barrister or a solicitor, however, there's an inevitable need to arrive at some fundamental concept of money. First, it lies at the heart of all your deliberations and advices to clients and colleagues over payment obligations in commercial and financial transactions. That's where this comes in. The subject, therefore, is in fact very complex, and the book, though slim, has got a huge amount of depth to it. In recent years, it's become even more so with the advent of such issues as money laundering, which is very important for us, sanctions, and measures such as the controversial Patriot Act in the United States of America. Now, the book by Roy Goode contains one of the best definitions of or descriptions of money, and this is what it says, because I think it's worth bearing in mind. Quote, "Money must be named by and denominated by reference to a unit of account prescribed by the law in force in the issuing state. This is the state does not have a monopoly over the creation of money. It nevertheless retains a monopoly over the design and structure of the monetary system. Money must be expressed by reference to a unit of account prescribed by law. Thus a 50p coin has a monetary value of 50p. Now, I'm sure you all remember the pound in your pocket is still worth £1 by Harold Wilson in the 1960s. Therefore, it's intriguing, isn't it? Absolutely, and so is the book. It covers virtually everything you're going to need to know when you advise clients in this subject area, and it presents, in my view, a clear analysis of the concepts of money, including the following important areas, and these are the areas that I think you'll find of use. They're listed: payment, the obligation to pay, the right to payment, defences to a payment claim, biggest thing in the county court basically, stipulations as to time, interest, legal implications of interbank transfers, and obligations regarding foreign money, just as the main sort of headings. Obviously the new material that's been included also covers the concept of money, which has been recently redefined, card payments and bank transfers, quite an important amount of information which is relevant to barristers and solicitors on money laundering legislation, especially for public access work, and the impact of sanctions legislation. And obviously the list I've given you is by no means exhaustive. So the work remains the most relevant, in my view, in today's global financial and business markets, and is very much in keeping with what we expect from the Sweeten-Maxwell Library. It also provides a comparative approach to international problems, which I think is a great benefit here, with much material from Commonwealth and United States jurisdictions, and it offers advice on damages and remedies in cross-border transactions, for instance. There's a wealth of key cases at the front, obviously mentioned, and they've got, obviously they're illustrative of principles which are also being cited throughout, contributing therefore to the book's lucid and practical approach, which is what we all anticipate from Professor Goode and his colleagues, and we're not disappointed here. So as payment obligations constitute an important area of law within a variety of banking, financial and commercial contexts, the new edition, the second one, of this Goode book, if I can call it that, is an essential addition to your library without any question. If you're therefore practicing in this type of area, or have corporate clients who need advice and practical guidance when it comes to payment obligations. And can I say finally, it's a much wider area than many people think. So it's well worth having a look. Thank you very much. Bye bye.